Sean, really kind of hard to put a finger specifically on that. But you just continue to look at it and evaluate it and chew on it, and can't get a hit if you don't swing the bat. So picked up the phone and asked, and he said, "Playing Friday night, right?" So I did. You know what? That's always a hard conversation to have. But our game's about competing, and just like I told our team this afternoon again, that whatever position you're at, we're fighting for the 53 spots on this football team, and you make a huge mistake to count the numbers in line, or how many are we going to keep, or the fact is we've used a couple quarterbacks every year I've been here from an injury standpoint. So, again, I think those guys keep their eye on what they need to do and do what they need to do.
Grant, how tough is that? 3 weeks ago, we're going to training camp, total players, forget about Brett Favre, it's over, we're moving ahead of stage the virus. Now you got to go back to that lack of a day. And granted, it's somewhat good news, but still, you're getting them mixed, messages of sorts.
Yeah, we have moved ahead 2 weeks, and my focus has been squarely on the team, and you can say to a lesser degree, squarely on the quarterbacks. But we have moved ahead 2 weeks. But we're still in training camp here, and we got a month before this football season happens, and I'll go back to telling them exactly what I said about this is a fluid business, and we were moving ahead. But you always go back and reassess and relook, and like I said, you can't get hit if you don't swing the bat.
Disappointment at this point in the summer of Sage virus, did that trigger this decision at all?
Not at all. I'll go back to 2 or 3 weeks ago. Just a unique opportunity to have a guy with experience in this system and in the NFC North, and with the skill set that he has, and just a unique opportunity. It really doesn't speak to them at all. Right today, I would expect him to play. We still got a little bit of time here. We'll see how he feels tomorrow, arm-wise, leg-wise. This was a little longer practice for us today. There's no question systematically you can do that. We went out in the football field without a meeting or anything. Got a physical, ate lunch, and got his stuff on and went out there. So we'll see.
How far into the phone conversation?
I'm not even thinking about that right now. Rick?
How did you alleviate your concerns that you might have had about him being soon to be 40 years old, having the problems he had at the end of last season physically, and now learning that he had this partially torn rotator cuff that'll have to last through the season? How did you get past that?
That was a long process, Ed. From surgery to MRIs to speaking with Dr. Andrews, to looking at those rotator cuff photos that you talked about, or that he talked about. Was it old? Was it new? But all that stuff was hammered out throughout the process. And I think he started by telling you that, it couldn't happen unless he had that surgery first and foremost, and then see where he was after he rehabbed it. And obviously that's why we had guys down there and in place to see how he was coming along and see how he was throwing the football and those type of things. But all the way to the point where I think Shug had a copy of his most recent MRI about that rotator cuff, met a doctor in the airport here at Minneapolis when he came back, stuck the disc in a computer, modeled it against the previous MRI. So there's a shoulder guy. Got on the phone with Brett after we got back, talked about what he was looking at, Dr. Andrews concurred. I mean, you know, so we were able to allay our fears, you know, just through hammering through the process.
Saw the reaction obviously coming in. I feel like the team's equipped to handle all the other outside distractions that come.
You know, if good players are distractions, then, you know, you got to continue to, you got to handle those. I mean, you want bad players so that there's nobody standing outside the door? I don't think so. You know, good players make everybody better.
What's that like to be driving down the road and you got a chopper following you above, and then you get here and you got like a Beatle-esque fan base trying to block your car?
Yeah, you know, I don't know that we identified the chopper, you know, or I probably would have run into something if I was looking out of my windshield. I think I saw it a couple times. I think he got a couple of texts that said they felt like they were watching OJ. You know, if I would have watched, you know, driven my son's white car, perhaps it would have been similar. But we were kind of involved in the conversation to the extent that I missed 169 and had to come up to 494 to come around. So we were kind of engrossed in the conversation. I was told that I didn't use my turn signal correctly. I hope that they're not giving tickets for that, you know, upon further review. I know they have that at intersections with cameras, but kind of engrossed in what I was doing.
What difference do you think he can make?
You know what, Ed, you can't quantify that, but I know what he'll give us in terms of leadership and like he said, stepping in the huddle for the first time. You know, that's not something that, yeah, he can naturally spit out the play. Those guys will learn him. He'll learn them. And we got a month to put that whole thing together. And as I mentioned, we're still in training camp here. Those guys are painfully aware of that. Just because we had a break from Mankato, still got a pretty good schedule working.
Like those things completely done 3 weeks ago, do you feel it was off the table, or have you kind of kept this in the back of your mind?
Just when I sit back and was able to reassess, you know, you have those spots where you can take a breath and you know, look at all your positions and look at your team and what options you have.
How far into that phone conversation yesterday was it until you felt he was going to commit and come in? Or did it go until you got a good feeling from it?
Well, we talked about the game night or Friday night. Asked if he had seen it, and we talked about was that 23Z in? Yeah, that was. You know, we threw the hot on that one, and I saw him hit the tight end over the ball. Was in a short cross on the backside. Yeah, that's what he was. You know, so it looked like he kind of struggled what happened with that protection. So we kind of rehashed what he had seen at the game. I think there was a replay on Sunday night of the game, and I said, well, look, before I take this to the owners, I got to know you're in. I mean, I can't, you know. We can't dance. Well, yeah, Levi, I am in. You know, I'm not sure he said I do, but he said I can play Friday night. So I said, okay, well, let's quit fooling around here. Let me get off the telephone. I'll call you back. And he was just getting out of high school parking lot. So I got a hold of Mark and Ziggy and just kind of ran it by them. Got back, and you know we wanted to get busy with it. Wanted to get him out to practice today.
You had to mention the owners. What was it?
Well, I mean, we hadn't obviously spoken about it. You know, they were down in Mankato and watched the team, but you know, took it under advisement, and then we got in the conference call and all talked about it and pulled the trigger. And that's the great thing is, you know, they've always empowered us to add good football players.